Racing Series returns to ETV Live on Tuesday nights following the Fast Track Racing Series radio show. After organizing a highly successful team series in 2010, Jerry Wolf is back with some kick butt, take no prisoners, team racing action like you have never seen before. The ETV Live Team Racing Series is sponsored by HD Radio Network live on Tuesday nights from 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't wimp out, dude. Catch the action live at etv-eplay.net.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Kentucky Speedway here for race number 4 of the ETV Live Team Series, ready to go for 100 laps of action here at Kentucky. Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Young. I will be bringing you live flag-to-flag coverage of tonight's event, but I'm not doing it alone. Returning to ETV tonight, Sean Peachin is going to be up in the booth with me, calling the shots for tonight's 100-lap event. Sean, it's great to have you here.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's good to be back finally on ETV. It's been such a long time, but I really look forward to the event. Trucks at Kentucky is always fun, so I look forward, no doubt.
Indeed it is. It should be a very entertaining race to watch for sure. As he had mentioned, we are at Kentucky Speedway tonight with the trucks for 100 laps of racing. It should be a good one to watch. Last week we did not end up broadcasting the race for you, but we did still have a race. It was the Daytona International Speedway hosted the event, and coming up on top of that event last week was the Super Speedway Cup North Union. They took home the victory with a full 144 points. Following them up in second place was the Twisty Motorsports team with 121 points. Last Lap Motorsports was the bottom step of the podium last week with 105 points. RSR Midnight Thunder team in fourth last week with 102 points. 5 points behind them, rounding out the top 5, was the Crosstown Motorsports team. The RSR Outlaw Trucks team came home in sixth place with 96 points, just 1 point shy of the fifth spot from last week. 92 points in seventh place was the Super Speedway Cup South Rebel, and rounding out the field in last week's event, the Z-Loop Racing team, 80 points to their name. They came home last place in eighth spot, and I believe Sean has got our points heading into tonight's event.
Yes, the points for the drivers at the moment, we do have Andrew Berger at the top of the list, followed by Stephen Almindo. Third is Terrence Donovan, fourth CJ Levere, and fifth is Rod Flagg at the moment. Sixth Kevin Van, seventh Brandon Chabirko, and eighth is Ray Kingsbury, ninth Jimmy Jones, and 10th is Tony Bowling.
That's looking at the driver points heading down to the bottom. Here for the team points, the Super Speedway Cup North Union has put on quite a show already. 2 wins to their name, and they have a 48-point lead over the RSR Midnight Thunder guys. Sitting in third place, Twisty Motorsports, 68 points out of the lead. They're 20 points out of the second place RSR Midnight Thunder team. Fourth place, Last Lap Motorsports, they are 69 points out of the lead, just 1 point behind the Twisty Motorsports guys. So they will definitely be working hard tonight to try to get themselves into the top 3. Fifth place, the Crossed Up Motorsports team with 297 points. They are 86 points out of the lead, just outside of the top 5 by 1 point. The Super Speedway Cup South Rebel sitting 87 points out of the lead with 296 points. 277 points and 106 points back is the RSR Outlaw Trucks team, and 8th place in points, the Loop Racing team. 262 points total, 121 points out of the lead. 4 races in, so still a bit early. Some teams digging themselves quite a hole to get out of so far. But still a lot can happen here as we're still early into the season. We have Kentucky Speedway tonight, a 1.5-mile tri-oval speedway for 100 laps. These trucks going to be taking on the speedway here tonight. Sean, it should be a very interesting race, but what should we expect for tonight?
Well, yeah, we've got the 4 times you mentioned, tri 1.5 with 14 degrees of banking, and the big thing with Kentucky is all about the bumps. There's a lot of bumps on this track, and a lot of opportunities for these trucks to get loose and have incidents, especially coming out of turn 2. We've seen a lot during the practice where trucks are having a hard time coming to grips with those bumps, so that'll definitely be something that we look for, as well as passing opportunities. That will be huge. As you said, a lot of teams have a lot of work to do, and they're going to be looking to make quick passes and get up to the front, and it's all going to come down to how the trucks are set up to deal with the course.
Absolutely, definitely going to be a few key factors to look at tonight as the race progresses. Taking a look at the qualifying charts so far, it is the number 15 machine of Larry Scott Jr. He is currently up atop the speed charts right now. A 31.604 puts him on the pole. Jeff Backey Jr. in the 13, a new name to the series here for this week at Kentucky. He is currently your outside pole sitter. Just about 8/100ths, excuse me, off of Larry Scott Jr. with Brendan Chaberko, Stephen Cox, and Matt Lacrosse rounding out the top 5 so far in qualifying. These guys still have a little bit of time left to go in qualifying. Some late guys throwing in some late runs, trying to see what their competition can do before they get out onto the track and see what they can run. So while we let those guys finish up, we're going to send it down trackside for tonight's national anthem and invocation.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back to the Kentucky Speedway here. A great job by the Cactus Cuties bringing us tonight's national anthem. Going to send it down trackside for the invocation. Get ready to go green flag racing here tonight. On the pole in the number 15 machine, driving for the Z-Loop Racing team, that is Larry Scott Jr. to his outside, newcomer to the team series. Jeff Backey Jr. in the number 13 rolls off outside pole.
Row 2 sees the number 19 of Brandon Chaberko on the 3rd position. 4th position will be the number 14 of Stephen Cox.
Matt Lacrosse's number 5 truck is going to match his truck number, and he will wrap up the top 5 into his outside, and the number 11 machine is C.J. Levere.
Starting 7th position is the number 29 of Kevin Van. On his outside will be the number 9 of Glenn Campbell.
Row number 5 on the inside, the number 10 machine of John Abbott. He is accompanied to the outside of the number 24 machine, Andrew Berger, rounding out the top 10 for tonight's starting grid.
Row 7 sees the number 17 of Frank Busilia III. On his outside will be the number 28 of Matt Kingsbury.
Matt Bontempi's number 21 truck is going to line up 13th on the grid here tonight, with Sean Brown in the number 2 to his outside in 14th position.
Starting P15 is the number 3 of Tony Bowling, followed by the number 22 of Terrence Donovan.
17th spot has the number 32 machine of Mark Arthur into his outside. Flip-flop that number around. The 23 machine of Rod Flagg, 18th to his outside.
Starting 19th is the number 27 of Jimmy Jones, followed by the number 30 of Mark Gloy.
21st spot is the number 25 machine of Ray Kingsbury, and to his outside of the number 18 machine. Starting 22nd is Hunter Bowles as the field works their way off of pit road and onto the surface.
Starting P23 is the number 12 of Bobby Terrell. Lining up outside of him will be the number 20 of Glenn Hedrick.
25th spot is the number 1 machine of Larry Mulligan, and to his outside we find the 31 machine of Garrett Denton in the 26th, and the number 16 truck of Joshua Harbison is going to start scratch on the field, dead last in the 27th position, and that is your 27 truck lineup for tonight's event. It should be a good one. It might be a quick one here, only 100 laps, so if this thing goes green, not a lot of time for these guys to be horsing around. They need to get up on that saddle, and they need to make sure that they are doing what they need to do to get their team the most amount of points as possible. Now, if you are new to the team series, each team has 4 drivers. Only 3 of them score points. At the end of the night, the top 3 drivers for that team, their point total gets added up, giving the team their point total for the night. So you can't have one driver who you can afford to have problems with, but definitely need to make sure you have 3 strong finishing drivers for tonight's event. The pace car is down onto the pit road safety and brings the field into control of the 15 Larry Scott Jr. He hits the gas. Green flag is out. We're racing here at Kentucky.
Yeah, right off the start we already had trucks dropping down to the apron looking to make that early move as we just go green.
Yeah, that apron is definitely going to be something that we're probably going to be seeing a lot of here tonight, Sean. A lot of room down on that apron to make passes, and I can guarantee that there's going to be a lot of use of that apron here tonight. As Larry Scott Jr., he got off to a great start there, and he's opening up quite a huge lead so far for lap number 1. Just behind him, though, Brandon Chaburko, he was able to get around the 13 of Jeff Backey Jr. using that apron to solidify himself into second place. Backey looks to the inside into turn number 1, doesn't have anything for him. He stays behind and in third.
Matt Lacrosse was running side by side there for a while, and he's going to actually move up into the 4th position after a nice side-by-side battle. But you're right, Larry Scott has gotten off to a great start. Really every racer's dream on a start like that. Leave your competition as far behind as you can.
Absolutely. After that first lap, nearly half a second lead. We'll see what it is this time by. He extends it to just about 7/10 of a second. The first side-by-side battle we got is for the 5th place. C.J. LaVere moving around the 14 of Stephen Cox in the middle of turns 1 and 2. LaVere going to move his way into the top 5 as we have caution out of the speedway here on lap number 3.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of these trucks were having a hard time trying to hold on to the truck in the middle of the corner. Like we said before, these bumps on the speedway do cause a lot of ill-handling trucks. You'll find out who got it right and who might not have it quite as dialed in when they hit those bumps. Truck will slide up the banking, that 14 degrees that we have here at Kentucky, allowing for the other driver to overtake on the inside.
Yeah, bringing out the caution there in turn number 1. The number 18 machine of Hunter Bowles pushed up a little bit in turn number 1, got into the left rear corner panel of Bobby Terrell. His number 12 machine slid up the racetrack. Looked like he might have been able to save it from any contact, but unfortunately could not do it. Slaps the inside wall a little bit, and that will bring out the first caution of the night. Probably going to put a damper on the hopes for that number 12 machine, as he hit pretty hard with that left front tire, and probably going to see some significant amount of damage to that number 12 machine. Definitely not what he wanted to see here tonight as early in the race as it happened. So that team has a bit of a struggle already, and if it can't be fixed, they do have their one-by driver, I guess you could call it, for points. But we know how strong of a competitor Terrell is from last season. We will continue to update you on his progress as the night goes on, but tough start already for the number 12 of Bobby Terrell.
Yeah, Terrell currently sitting 17th in the driver points. He does have 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s to his credit, though, so definitely a fierce competitor. And even if he is lucky enough to avoid significant suspension damage to that truck, it's going to be tough to get it handling like it did before. And again, here at Kentucky, you want that handling so you can make those moves on the circuit.
Absolutely, you do. We see leader in the 15 machine, Larry Scott Jr., he decides to stay out onto the racing surface as the majority of the field comes down onto pit road, taking 4 tires and fuel. Winning that race off of pit road, though, is going to be the number 5 machine of Matt Lacrosse for the Midnight Thunder team. He will roll off with the victory off of pit road. The 13 of Jeff Backey is going to come out second with CJ Lavere, Stephen Cox, and Rod Flagg, the top 5 coming out of the pits.
Yeah, exactly what Midnight Thunder wants to do, get their guy up in the top spot here as they're chasing that top spot in the championship points, so as many drivers as they can get, and it's interesting to see the strategy playing out. Kentucky is notorious for that.
Indeed it is, especially this with the amount of racing that we have here tonight, only 100 laps on this 1.5 mile speedway, so it can tick away fairly quickly if these guys can pull off green flag runs, which we've seen in the past. We've seen a lot of green flag racing so far this season, and especially with last season as well. So I would assume that these guys are planning to have some sort of lengthy green flag run in there. So it'll be interesting to see how those strategies play out amongst the drivers who do plan and don't plan for that as the night continues to progress.
Well, as we watch a lot of times with drivers, when you first start the race, you got those cold tires, you're trying to find out how your car is going to handle in the traffic, and, you've got the red mist, you're trying to get up to the front, make passes around some of the guys that were maybe a little bit slower. So there's always that higher probability for some kind of an incident to occur, but you're right, a lot of these guys run really similar lap times in qualifying, and I think that we'll be in for some green flag running here before too long for a pretty lengthy run as these drivers rather, get to grips with their truck.
Indeed they will here, Sean, as the field dropped low there. Glenn Hedrick, I believe he got off to a late start. I saw him pulling off a pit road as the caution flag was coming out. His number 20 machine will take the lucky dog. He was 2 laps down at the time, I believe, so he should get one of them back. Only dropped to 1 lap down. So if he gets another quick caution here, he'll be back on the lead lap and be able to compete with these guys and move up the leaderboard. So a pretty good break for that number 20 machine so far. Obviously a bit of an issue underneath the hood of that machine, causing him to miss the start of the race, but he's out there now looking like he's ready to go, and hopefully he can get that 1 lap back and start getting ready to compete over the rest of the field, as I believe we should be seeing the one to go this time by as the field heads for the start-finish line.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Sometimes those trucks just don't want to turn over when it's time to go. So, yeah, he's lucky, though, with the lucky dog. He should be able to pull himself back and get into contention before too awfully long as the race unfolds.
So as the field hits the start-finish line, they indeed do get the 1 to go signal, as we'll be going back green flag racing one more time around. After pit stops, Larry Scott Jr. still hangs on to the lead with the number 19 machine of Brennan Chaburko to his outside. Glenn Campbell in the 9 is going to restart in 3rd, Andrew Berger 4th. Frank Busilia the 3rd is going to restart in 5th place. He's gained quite a bit of time already. He started in the 11th position, and he's already way up to P number 5 on lap number 7. The rest of the top 10 is going to look like this, with John Abbott, Tony Bowling, Sean Brown, Garrett Denton, and Ray Kingsbury, the top 10, as we get ready to get these guys fired back up in green flag racing about half a lap.
Yeah, it seems a lot of these guys sometimes with some trouble in qualifying, but it's not necessarily where you start, but always where you finish. So if you've got a great race truck setup dialed in, we'll start to see these guys moving to the front pretty quick here.
Absolutely, Sean. Qualifying is only based off of 1 quick lap, and if you make a little mistake, get a little loose somewhere, don't pick up the throttle right away, it can wire you back in traffic a little bit, especially when you know that you have a strong race setup underneath your machine. So we'll have to see who can make their moves and get up here towards the later stages of the race. But the pace car bringing the field around to turn number 4 now should be ducking off onto pit road here momentarily, and Larry Scott Jr. looking to pick up where he left off on that first restart. The pace car down on pit road, he guns it at the same point. Chaburko's going to be able to drop down to the inside, and we are green flag racing once again.
Yeah, Chaburko all the way down to that apron as he moves to the inside. It looks like everybody's pretty clear as trucks start to stack up 2 by 2 as they go into turn 1.
Single file racing starting to calm down here as we get a hold of the restart here. Some side-by-side racing back for about the 6th position. I believe that is actually the 7th position. The number 3 machine, Tony Bowling, he's trying to get around John Abbott. He's got the 31 machine that is on his outside. That's Garrett Denton. Garrett almost getting into the wall, getting a little loose off of turn 4. He hangs on. Now Matt Lacrosse in the 5 looking underneath the 3 machine of Tony Bowling as ahead into turn number 1. Bowling going to give up the spot, and Lacrosse moves into 8th place as we got some more side-by-side racing going on behind these guys.
Yeah, traffic jam really backing up. Really almost had an incident there as that truck nearly got into the wall, but he did have some help. He was getting pinned up real close to that wall, and he was lucky not to have a big incident that would have taken out a lot of trucks early on.
Problems in the back of the field. The number 16 machine, Joshua Harbison, off at turn number 2, got loose, pounded the inside wall. That truck is spewing a lot of heavy black smoke. Looks like his night is probably going to be done early, and that is a huge blow for that Loop team. They are currently last in the championship points, and now they're taking out their Mulligan driver early here on lap number 9. So Joshua Harbison looks to, unfortunately, having to end his night early. Meanwhile, still up front is the number 50 machine of Larry Scott Jr. trying to hold off Brendan Chaburko, who we've seen throughout the existence of the series. He is a very, very fast driver, and he is slowly starting to reel in that 15 machine, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him try to make the move for the lead here within the next few laps.
Yeah, we are. Looks like we got a few laps here. That truck spinning on the inside off of 2, just like we talked about in the pre-race. You're going to have to watch out. A lot of trucks getting loose off that corner, and it seems as though that's what happened. But yes, Chaburko really moving in now on the number 15 and going to give him all that he can handle as he works his way to the front of the field here.
Larry Scott starting to pull away from the 19 machine just a little bit and starts to extend that lead. Single file racing throughout most of the field right now as these guys turning some laps, kind of taking it easy, figuring out what they got underneath of their trucks, seeing what adjustments need to be made or how they're feeling about their truck. In the early going here, we're on lap 12 right now of 100, so it kind of goes by fairly quickly. The first side-by-side battle we got is back to the 17th spot with Kevin Van and Matt Kingsbury. They're kind of battling it out here. The 25 machine, Ray Kingsbury, also involved in this battle here for the 16th place, it looks like, as Kevin Van took over the spot. The 28, Matt Kingsbury, gets around Ray Kingsbury, and Larry Mulligan and Mark Lloyd right around there doing some nice hard battling here for 16th.
Yeah, it's definitely where you want to try to make up these spots, work your way through the mid-pack. A lot of these guys are just trying to settle in, like you said, figure out what they have underneath them, just turn some laps. And it might even be that Chaburko is just saying, all right, Larry, you want to lead the race, that's fine, I'll let you see what you got, and maybe drive your truck, and I'll kind of conserve a little bit and give you a real run here before too long.
Yeah, I wouldn't count Brendan Chaburko at all. We've seen how strong he can be from prior races, so definitely keep your eye out on that 19 machine as this race progresses. It'll be interesting to see if he can challenge Larry Scott there and fight for a win later on in the evening. Got a gaggle of trucks around the 15th position here, battling for position. The 2 machine of Sean Brown side by side with Garrett Denton. Brown wants it. He's winning the battle right now, and he's going to be able to bring the 21 machine of Matt Bontempi with him. The 31 Denton trying to use that outside line to his advantage. And with this progressively banked racetrack, you might be able to do it. And oh wow, now Bontempi really sideways off at turn number 2. He's able to hang on, but he's going to lose a lot of time and those positions that he was just fighting for. He's going to be able to get back up to speed just to the inside of the 28 machine of Matt Kingsbury, so around the 16th, 17th spot, as now they nearly make some contact off at turn number 4. He's going to lose the spots at the 28, and the 1 machine Larry Mulligan following by as well.
Yeah, great job to keep a hold of that truck. A lot of space being given between these trucks. A little bit of contact as they're getting a little bit closer here in the corners, but you're right, there is a high degree of probability that you could get that high side to work on this progressively banked track, and it'll be interesting to see how these guys work that high line as they try to get around the inside. But again, you want to be careful, and you want to make sure that you have a truck that can handle it, or like we just seen, you'll get really sideways and your day will be over in a batten of an eye, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing some of these guys fighting some loose race trucks, and it could be just with this track, these low-banked speedways. You got to really, really be careful on how hard you hit that throttle coming off the turn. If you hit it too hard and too early, you're going to have an interesting time keeping that truck going the right way. So, that's something that these guys are going to have to look out for as the night goes on. I think it might be a little more secure up around the top side of the racetrack with this being progressively banked. So it'll definitely be something that we have to watch on, as it looks like Bontempi has been able to get control of his truck, but he's in a fierce battle here with Larry Mulligan for the 17th spot. These guys have been battling ever since Bontempi got his control back underneath of that truck, and now Bontempi working the top side. He smacks the wall off at turn number 2, loses a little bit of momentum, and I believe that's going to allow Larry Mulligan to fly on by. Here comes Jeff Backey Jr. in the 13, closing in on the 21 to try and fight for this spot as well.
Yeah, we've seen Bontempi get real up into the wall there, brush it pretty good as he's battling. That gave Mulligan just the chance that he needed to finally break that side-by-side deadlock, and now we've got Backey Jr. here also applying pressure to Bontempi. So, and again, Backey was one of the guys who started close to the front, I believe second place outside pole sitter, so he's looking to make some positions back after his early stops.
Yeah, absolutely there, Sean, as we're just about a fifth of the way through this race as these guys are coming around to take lap 20 now. Looking back up towards the lead, it's still Larry Scott Jr. He has a 1.3 second lead over Brennan Chaburko. These two guys kind of pulling away from the rest of the field, as Chaburko's got just about half a second over Glenn Campbell, and I saw Campbell getting a little loose there off of turn number 2. He's able to hang on, but he's going to lose that momentum. Andrew Berger is going to come around him on the outside in turn number 3. He clears now the 17 of Frank Busilia III. He is fighting for that spot. He's going to be able to clear, and here comes Matt Lacrosse on the 5. Midnight Thunder truck trying to take over as well, so a small mistake by Glenn Campbell going to cost him about 3 to 4 spots.
Yeah, and when you get a close field like this where everybody's running consistently and doing a good job, one mistake is all it takes for all those trucks to go racing by as you try to struggle for your momentum. So I've got some battling back here between the number 10 and the number 3 truck as well, side by side. That's Tony Bowling as well as CJ LeVere trying to make position as they run side by side. Great battles here in the mid-pack.
John Abbott on the outside there on the 10 truck. He's going to be able to clear the 3, and now CJ LeVere, the teammate to the number 10 machine, is going to try and peek his nose to the outside to see what he can do heading into turn number 1. Gets a good run heading on in, but can't quite stick with him. The 3 machine just that much better on the inside, so Tony Bowling clears. He's going to fall back in line and try to work on getting John Abbott back there. Glenn Campbell was finally able to fit himself back into line in the 7th spot, so that little mistake cost him 4 positions, as a couple trucks just in front of them. Matt Lacrosse to the inside of the number 17 machine of Frank Basilia III. We've seen Matt Lacrosse very, very strong throughout these first opening races for this Midnight Thunder team, and the whole Midnight Thunder team actually very successful at Dover. Unfortunately, Lacrosse not being able successful to complete that pass now is at the hands of Stephen Cox's number 14 machine to the outside, trying to take that spot away and move his number 14 truck into the top 5. Lacrosse not letting him take that easily, but unfortunately it's not going to work out the way he plans. Stephen Cox clears. He's able to pull up in line behind him and not lose any more time. Meanwhile, behind them, CJ LeVere giving it another go at Tony Bowling.
Yeah, great battles here, really from about the 5th position on back to the 10th position. Trucks swapping positions, jostling for position, and really just trying to get those crucial points for each position. But we're seeing some great racing, some great respect between the drivers, and you can definitely tell that these guys are having a blast out here.
Yeah, Sean, it's a pretty wide racetrack here at Kentucky Speedway, so these guys can they can afford to give each other some room, as we're seeing, but they're still having really tight battles, especially with this one here with CJ LeVere and Tony Bowling. These guys have been lane swapping, spot swapping these last few laps here, trying to figure out who's the better truck right now, and it's not hurting them a ton. Oh, wow, a big slide there for CJ LeVere. He's able to hang on, though he's going to have to settle with sitting in 10th place for right now. But as I was saying, these guys are battling pretty hard, but they aren't really losing any time to the guys up in front of them. They're still sticking with Glenn Campbell, Matt Lacrosse, and those guys. So they're being allowed to battle it out and race it out, but still keeping intact with the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's a great thing about Kentucky, and especially with these trucks. I mean, it's just the competition level is so high, and you don't really have to worry that much about losing a whole lot of time like you would if you were at, say, like we were last week with the Daytona, where you're battling in the draft and everything. So it's definitely great to see these guys being able to be close, being able to battle hard for those positions, but at the same point in time, like you mentioned, you're not losing a lot of time to the person in front of you, and if you can solidify that position, then you can go ahead and push forward and try to pick up that other position if your truck will allow it.
Absolutely, Sean. We saw that last time by off at turn number 2. Glenn Campbell got a little sideways, was able to hang on, and now he's all over the back bumper of Matt Lacrosse. He wants that 7th position, and he wants it now. Peek into the inside in the middle of the turn. Going to try and maybe get the run off of the turn and see what he's got through the tri-oval. Looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. He pulls to the inside of the number 5 machine. Not going to elect to use the apron here. He's got enough of a run as is. Going to try and clear as he heads into turn number 1. That's allowing Tony Bowling to get him windshield full of this, and he pulls up to the rear bumper of the 5. Now the 5 drops down to the inside, trying to cross him over and try to take that spot back. Can't quite do it. Falls back in line. And now he's at the mercy of the 3 machine, Tony Bowling, now trying to get around the 5 truck. So Matt Lacrosse showed some early strength, but now he's starting to fade back just a little bit.
Yeah, put in a great run for the top 5 in qualifying, but it looks at this moment as this green flag run progresses. I mean, because we're moving, lap 29 here. Lacrosse slowly starting to fade back. Maybe his race setup is not quite as good as some of these other guys who are coming around from the back of the grid. So he's going to be looking to make maybe some minor adjustments on that truck the next time they're able to stop.
Another driver starting to drop back through the field here. You see Frank Basilio, the 3rd and the 17. He's now at mercy of the 9 machine as he drops back to that spot. Now Lacrosse looking to the inside of him. He's trying to take that. Oh, Basilio loose off at turn number 4. Hangs on, loses the momentum though. Lacrosse is going to work the inside. Campbell's going to be able to clear and move up in front of him. Lacrosse to the inside. They get really, really close, nearly touching in turn 1. They don't though. And they continue to battle off at turn number 2. Might have upset the 5 truck a little bit as now Basilio looks to be able to have the run off of the turn. Glenn Campbell sees that the 5 and the 17 kind of battling, getting close. He throws a block down the back straightaway. And at turn number 3, Basilio goes really high. Lacrosse going to try and make it happen off of 4. He does. He clears. And now Tony Bowling in the 3 going to try to file on by Frank Basilio. So Basilio now starting to drop back through the field a little bit.
Yeah, Basilio really trying to work that high line, trying to use it to his advantage. You could see he really jumped on the power there, truck squirming for grip as he was coming off the corner. But again, mistake like that, and we just had another mistake just a couple trucks behind with a loose condition. So again, as close as this field is, one little mistake is all it takes, and you're going to lose 2 or 3 positions as Basilio continues to work the high line and fend off the attack from Mr. Bowling.
Trying to defend off the attack, but can't quite do it as he's got C.J. Lavera now looking to the inside of him. Lavera was all over the rear end of the 3, kind of pushing him by Frank Basilio in the 17, and now he pushes him by. He's like, get out of my way, Tony, I want some action too. So he's going to work his way to the inside of the 17 in turn number 3. He washes up. They're nearly going to make contact in the middle of the turn. They're pushing up the racetrack, still hanging the right way and still going. That's going to kill the run that the 11 had. Basilio is going to try and clear. Look like that is, I think that's Mark Arthur in the 32 there. Looks like he was trying to get in. Now they touch. The 11 and the 17 touch. The 17 hangs on. This is getting really intense now. The 32 pops it to the top side. 3 wide. C.J. Lavera's loose. Hangs on to the back straightaway. These guys getting really, really racy here for the top 10 spot.
Yeah, there's a touch. There's a touch. He just saves it. Brilliant driving there. Oh, he's going to dive to the inside. Number 17 having a real hard time here, but yeah, great battling. You'd think this is the last lap. These guys getting right up door to door. The outside line trying to work, the inside line trying to work, and they're just getting so close as these trucks are starting to push out a little bit as these tires begin to fall off.
Lots of hard racing there. It got a little scary, but we're still clean green. Frank Basilio not the happiest after that as he drops back a few spots. The guy he's got right in front of him, though, Jeff Backey Jr., we saw him. He was the outside pole sitter for this race. One of the drivers who elected to come down pit road for some tires and fuel. So that'll be interesting to see as we look to be having a longer green flag run with his fuel strategy compared to the rest of the field. He's moved his way quite well through the field as he's sitting in 11th place right now and trying to catch up to Mark Arthur's number 32 machine to try to pop himself back into the top 10.
Yeah, Backy putting on a great show here, racing his way back up, showing that his truck had the qualifying package, he has the race package, and that he is moving his way to the front. And it will be interesting to see how all this strategy plays out, as this could lend itself to a pretty interesting outcome at the end of the race.
Indeed it could. Jeff Backy Jr., a newcomer here to the ETV Live Team Series in his number 13 truck, and not 100% sure who he is driving for. We'll have to figure that one out, and we will get that across to you as soon as we can. But he has closed up to Mark Arthur and C.J. LeVere, so he's going to make this a 3-truck battle for the 9th spot. Pops it down to the inside, making it 3 wide off of 4. They nearly touch, Mark Arthur and Jeff Backy. LeVere is going to give up the battle and let it be a 2-truck. He's going to try and cross up the 32 of Arthur down to the inside. Backy gets by them both and lets the 2 of the battle behind him. Arthur clears LeVere and tries to get the run off at turn number 2 to get back at Backy.
Yeah, Backy with a great run there, just showing that truck's muscle, past both those cars to break back into the top 10, sitting currently 9th position with Matt Lacrosse just in front of him. But yeah, those two, Mark Arthur and C.J. LeVere, now trying to do battle, as Backy just says, you know what, guys, I was on the outside of the front row. I ain't got time for this. I'm going to the front. I'll see you guys later.
Backy's starting to make up some ground that he lost earlier to this pit stop. And looking back up towards the top of the scoring pylon, we have a change for position for spot number 2. The 14 machine of Stephen Cox was able to catch and pass Brendan Treberk a little while ago. He's got about half a second lead over Treberko for that second spot. But right now it is all Larry Scott Jr. He's up to over 5 seconds over Stephen Cox in that 14 machine as we continue on with this green flag run. Starting to see what we kind of saw at Charlotte. We had an early caution, and then it went caution-free from there on out. Could possibly be seeing the same thing, as we are currently on lap number 39 of 100. Still working green flag racing, and actually Stephen Cox that lap was able to close in a little bit on Larry Scott Jr.
Yeah, this is exactly what Larry Scott wants. He's down in 21st overall for the Drivers' Championship, 78 points back as the night started. He's got 1 top 5, 1 top 10, and he would really assert himself and move back into maybe the championship picture with a really good finish here. And like we said, this guy is dominating the field. He's got a 5-second lead now over Stephen Cox as these trucks continue to run. So it looks like Larry's got a great package for the race, and he's definitely the class of the field tonight. He's going to be a real tough driver to catch tonight.
Indeed he will, Sean, and that's pretty huge for his Loop Racing team as well, as they're currently sitting last in points right now. So to have one of their drivers up front dominating the race so far, you know, those guys in that pit box and within that organization, they really, really need this, and they're very, very happy with how things are going right now. He continues, he's starting to kind of lose a little bit, just bit by bit starting to lose that lead, but nothing too major to really worry about right now. We still got 59 laps to go, so still a long ways to go, and for right now he's looking very, very strong. And like you said, it's going to be hard for anybody to catch him, especially if we stay green. They'll need some sort of mistake on pit road or on track to catch up here. Quick update, Hunter Bowles, his number 18 machine, he had an electrical problem, brought it down to pit road. They are still trying to figure that one out. He is currently fallen 8 laps down. Looks like they're getting ready to put the hood back down on that racing truck and get him back out on the racetrack. So a tough break for that number 18 machine. I know he was looking to head into tonight's race with some good momentum as his Super Speedway Cup team. Not sure if it's his team or the associate team. One of them, the current points leader of this series, trying to keep their momentum up after last season and defend their championship. He's part of the South Rebel. I believe it's the North Union that's topping the points now as he looks to come back out on the racing surface and join the field.
Yeah, Hunter Bowles with his Cup South Rebels, as you mentioned, currently down in the 6th position in the team's championship. So tough break for him and tough break for the Super Speedway South guys. Great thing that you had mentioned, though, about those loop racing guys. You know, it's always easy for teams and drivers to get really down on their on the prospects of their season after a rough start like we've seen them have so far. So to have Cox leading the race, I mean, that's a big shot in the arm to those loop racing guys, and might just be what they need to get that championship season back on, and you know, back on the slots, if you will.
Yeah, it's still early in the season, so these guys, if they can pull together a couple of good runs, you know, maybe visit victory lane once or twice and finish within the top 3 of the team standings, you know, they might be able to come back and have something to say towards the end of the season. But getting off to a bad start, it doesn't help. You can't win the championship in the first few races, but you definitely can lose it. And right now, they've dug themselves a pretty deep hole. But it looks like tonight they're ready to start digging themselves out of that hole. We'll have to see how the rest of the team is doing, but they have one driver up in the lead, so that's good for them. He just made his way past Bobby Terrell in the 12 machine, putting him a lap down. Terrell, the one and only caution flag of the night, still suffering from some damage to the left front of that machine as he drops a lap. Obviously, that truck not up to full par, and this long green flag driving doesn't help him get that thing fixed.
Now, further back in the top 10, we have Larry Mulliken, who actually just went to the inside of Mark Arthur there. Mark Arthur with a real moment off of corner number 2, and that allowed for Larry to overtake that position. It looks like Mark's going to try to come back to the inside as they cross the start-finish line, but a good battle on track as most of these trucks are really starting to fan out as we see the different setups and different setups on these trucks play out.
And we do, Sean, and something looking pretty specific with that 32 machine. He looks to be liking to use that top side. He's been kind of running up there in 1 and 2, running a little bit lower in 3 and 4. But we've seen him up top a little bit as he was in that 3-wide battle there with Jeff Backey and CJ Laveri using the top side a little bit. So maybe he's got his truck set up to run the top side a little bit more comfortably than some of these other guys. Now that he's kind of singled out, he's trying to maybe take some of the line that Larry Mulliken is running, try to bring him back down. He's got about half a second over Glenn Campbell in the 9 machine, currently running in 9th place. So, you know, trying to search around the racetrack, see which line's best for him, and now he's trying out the bottom side, and looks like it's not working too well for him as he's starting to lose some more ground on Larry Mulliken.
Yeah, we just actually had Brandon Chaburko, who dropped off of the 3rd position, come in for his first stop, and he is back actually onto the racetrack. So nothing doing there, as it should be just about time for people to start thinking about pit strategies, pit stops as well, as he comes back onto the race course.
Yeah, Chaburko was one of the drivers who decided to stay out onto the racing surface under our first caution back on lap 3. So now that we're currently running on lap 48, so we're just about halfway through this race. These guys should be thinking about when they're going to make their pit stops here. The guys who pitted on lap 3, they don't have much of an advantage over the rest of the field, but definitely can go a little bit longer. Should be able to see everybody make it off this one stop, I would think, but I don't really know. Chaburko come in just under halfway. He might have to pit again. We'll have to see how that strategy works for him.
Yeah, for sure. We also have Frank Basilia also on pit road for his scheduled stop, so right at halfway, so he should be able to make it just fine. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Chaburko does there, because he was just a couple laps early from the halfway point, but he should be able to make it without too much of a concern. Maybe just stopping a little early, wanting to make those adjustments and get on some fresh tires, because you know, as a driver out there, as soon as those tires go away, the first thing that you're thinking about is, when can I get on pit road and get these new tires? These things are garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Berger, Matt Lacrosse, and was one other driver down on pit road. So this is definitely the start of green flag pit stops here. As now Berger starts to work his way coming out of the pits. Looks like Matt Bontempi is the 3rd driver down on pit road. Indeed it is, in the 21. Matt Lacrosse coming out of the pits as well. So green flag pit stops full in effect here, just past the halfway mark of tonight's event, the ETV Live Team Series at Kentucky Speedway. 50 laps in the books, 50 to go here, just over half an hour of racing. So, like I had mentioned, Sean, once these guys get green flag racing, the laps tick away, and they don't have much time to horse around. They got to get up on the saddle and got to start moving and figure out where they're going to be as this race reaches its ending point.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you've made your way back onto the racetrack, that's the first thing that you're going to want to be doing now is, okay, my pit stop's out of the way, we got about 50 laps, so just under 50 laps left, it's time to get my elbows up, really get up on that steering wheel and start making time, because especially for Larry Scott Jr., who just now pit as Stephen Cox takes the lead, you're going to want to, you don't want him to get out there to too big of a 4-second lead there, because you're not going to be able to catch him. So these guys are going to need to get up on those steering wheels, push these trucks, find the line that works for them, and then just get to business and try to secure these points for their teams.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. And for those drivers who decided not to pit on lap 3 and are coming in past this halfway point, you got to believe that this is going to be the one and only pit stop they make. And if this stays green flag racing, this is pretty much your one and only money stop. As far away from the finish as we are, if these guys can make it, over 50 laps on their first stop, we have just about 45 laps to go. They won't need to make it that far. If this stays green, this will be the one and only stop that these guys have to make. I'm kind of curious with the strategy of Brendan Chaburko, though, as we had seen with Larry Scott. Neither of them pitted on lap 3. Larry Scott pushing it about 5 laps later than Chaburko did, so kind of questioning that strategy a little bit. If this stays green, I don't know if he'll be able to make it. Maybe, possibly, since Larry Scott went over 50, and the run that Chaburko would be making would be over 50 as well. But it'll be interesting to see how everybody plays out after these pit stops cycle through. But right now, Stephen Cox currently out in front of Jeff Backey Jr. and John Abbott, the top 3 as it stands right now. As actually now Stephen Cox coming down on the pit road in his number 14 machine.
Yeah, Chaburko had a kind of a really questionable strategy, like you said. Maybe thinking that he could go and get tires and run a couple laps on those tires and make up some time. However, he's now been pinned he's pinned down a lap down here in the 15th position. So even if there's a caution, he's not going to be getting the lucky dog pass or what have you to get back on that lead lap. So definitely kind of a questionable strategy, and will be interesting to see how it plays out as Jeff Backey Jr. now. Something apparently has happened to Stephen Cox? Or is that just him coming back off of the pits?
Looking at him, it looks like he's coming back out onto the racing surface now. Don't think anything went wrong with his pit stop. He did lose a lap like the majority of the drivers who have been pitting have done. And as you had mentioned with the caution flag, we got over half the field a lap down right now. And some of the guys a lap down are our front runners, like Stephen Cox and Larry Scott Jr. So if these guys get a yellow flag, they might be stuck a lap down. We only got 6 trucks on the lead lap right now for some of those guys who are kind of pushing the limits. Like Jeff Backey Jr. in the 13, he's currently out in front of Mark Arthur by 6 seconds. He did come down on pit road on lap number 3, so he can go a little bit longer than some of these guys who were running out in front earlier on. But if you can see just behind that 13 machine, though, that is the 15, Larry Scott Jr., so he's about to get his lap back the old-fashioned way and drive around the leader instead of relying on a lucky dog or just through the pit cycle. So the 15 now back on the lead lap, and he will be the 7th truck on the lead lap as we currently run on lap 60, maybe 40 laps to go this time by. And I'm hearing that the number 32 or the number 23, excuse me, Rod Flagg, 5th place runner, he's heading into pits this time by.
Yeah, Rod Flagg coming in for his service. Jeff Backey Jr. currently leading the race by 6.4 seconds. So right now he's still making that gap to the 2nd place car. So he's going to try to stay out quite a bit longer and just try to continue to extend the lead that he has, so that when he does come back on track, he does not lose that much time and may try to put himself in a position, as it looks like Backey's now coming to the pits, giving the lead to Mark Arthur.
Indeed he does, Sean. Jeff Backey Jr., the number 13, drops it down onto pit road here on lap number 60, handing the lead over to the number 32 of Mark Arthur. He has a 2.5-second lead over C.J. LeVere. I'm going to assume that these drivers running up towards the top half of the field now are the drivers who did come down on pit road on lap 3. So these guys, they, without a question, will be able to make it on fuel the rest of the way once they make their pit stop. It's just staying out there isn't really worth it. Because looking through the lineup, we have our top runners on the lead lap. Larry Scott Jr., he's on the lead lap. Brian Chaburko's back on the lead lap. Stephen Cox is on the lead lap. So, I mean, when these guys come into the pits, I don't think there's any hope that they can hang on to the lead, as now Mark Guthrie drops it down onto pit road.
Yeah, Chaburko ahead of Stephen Cox, and Stephen Cox going around the number 19 there of Chaburko, saying, sorry, nice try on your strategy, but I'm going to take that position back. It's my race to lose. So that strategy hasn't played off in a real loose moment there for Chaburko, coming off of 2. That truck was sideways, Tokyo Drift style. So interesting stuff there, is it looks like Stephen Cox should get the lead back as everything cycles through with these late guys coming into the pits. And it will also be interesting to see if we do have a late caution, if any of these guys stop for maybe 2 tires or something like that, because we saw a lot of fall off there as the run progressed. So maybe a late caution could shake things up with strategy going forward.
Yeah, it definitely could, Sean. It's starting to look down the path that we saw at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the opening race of the season. We had a caution on lap 2, and the guys went the rest of the way caution-free. And that's what we're setting up to see right now, as the majority of the field popping back onto the lead lap. Still haven't quite cycled our way through green flag pit stops. Almost there. The number 29 machine of Kevin Van, he is still out on the racetrack, and he is your current race leader. 6.5 seconds. Well, actually, now he's on pit road. Excuse me on that part. So now that will get the lead back to Larry Scott Jr., as it should cycle through our green flag pit stops here.
Yeah, certainly is. Certainly seems as though it's all going to work itself back out as these guys settle in for this last half, working lap 65 right now. So yeah, these guys settling in. These trucks really starting to come to life. The newness of the tires starting to wear off a little bit as they turn these laps.
Problems out on the racetrack. Yellow flag is out, and it's the number 18 machine of Hunter Bowles. He is parked sideways in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Yellow flag coming out here on lap number 65. So that will evaporate the 5.5 second lead that Larry Scott Jr. had over Stephen Cox, and that'll pretty much erase any type of strategy in this one. And we'll see who comes down. Some drivers just the pit. They've been out there for a little bit. Checking back on the 18 to see what happened here. Hearing that it was a problem underneath the hood there for the number 18 machine again. They weren't able to fix that, so his truck came to a stop in the middle of the racetrack, and he brought it down to the inside and couldn't get it going. He has climbed out of the machine. He is done for the day. Also done for the day. The number 12 machine of Bobby Terrell, obviously the damage too much to handle. He pulls it off, and he has climbed out of his number 12 machine, putting it behind the wall for the rest of the race. As we'll see what happens here under yellow flag pit stop. See who comes and who doesn't.
Yeah, Ray Kingsbury will be the guy who gets the lucky dog this time, so that will put him back on the lead lap, leaving the majority of the field back on the lead lap then, so just a couple of trucks off. But yeah, real incident there with, you know, obviously the situation where a bad day just gets even worse on track, and definitely Hunter is going to want to go back to the drawing board for the next race and try to fix whatever problems and get his season back on level field here.
Indeed he will. The majority of the field brings the trucks down onto pit road for will probably be the final time. Looks like Glenn Campbell, he's out of the pits quick. Not sure if he took some strategy there. Might have missed his pit, but he will win the race off of pit road. Looks like he just drove through pit lane, probably missed his pit stall. But taking a look back at the drivers who did, Larry Scott Jr., 4 fresh tires on that is Loop Racing, number 15. He wins the race off the pit road for the drivers who actually made their stops. Stephen Cox, 2nd. Brendan Chaburko, 3rd. Andrew Berger, 4th. And Jeff Backey Jr., your top 5 coming out of the pits. Going to be about 30 laps to go when we go green flag racing here at the Kentucky Speedway. We're going to step away here, take a quick break, and we'll be back to give you the restart here at Kentucky for the ETV Live Team Series and race number 4. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
If you're a serious online racing enthusiast, you need Derek Spear Design, maker of high-quality, custom-built, and 50-caliber strong simulation racing products like button boxes, shifter pedals, component parts, and more. The advantage a championship sim racing driver needs. Rated 10 out of 10 by Inside Sim Racing TV. Check out his line of top-shelf sim racing products reasonably priced at DerekSpearDesigns.com and buckle in for a no-nonsense ride. DerekSpearDesigns.com today, cowboy.
Welcome back to the Kentucky Speedway here for race number 4 of the ETV Live Team Series. Currently working under yellow flag conditions right now. Leaders on lap number 68 as the 29 machine of Kevin Van, currently your race leader. Mark Glory, Larry Scott Jr., Stephen Cox, and Brendan Chaburko, your top 5. Want to update everybody on a couple of team rosters. The number 9 machine, Glenn Campbell, also new to the series this week. He is a part of the RSR Outlet Truck team. And Jeff Backey Jr., which will help the cause of Larry Scott Jr., a couple of juniors, a part of these Loop Racing team. So Jeff Backey obviously showing some really good strength as well as Larry Scott Jr. So it's understandable why now, as they are teammates. So probably similar setups under the hoods of those two trucks. And right now it's a Twisty Motorsports duo up in the front row of Kevin Van and Mark Loy. Two names that we have not seen throughout the majority of the night. Currently 1-2.
Well, as you saw when we went away and had the picture-in-picture there, most of these trucks deciding to come in to take up some tires, get the freshest tires as you could. So that's why we now have Kevin Van and Mark Gloy at the front here with Larry Scott sitting third. And yeah, interesting thing with Jeff Backey, I've watched him race in a couple other championships, always very strong competitor. And he's definitely going to help this Loop Racing team, guys, get their championship back on the right foot with his performance tonight, along with Larry Scott. And then having somebody like Backey Jr. on your team going forward only helps your cause as they obviously try to get out of the last spot in the team championship.
Yeah, absolutely. That could have been a recruitment driver there for Jeff Backey Jr. Some of the guys, a part of the Loop Racing team, they know how strong of a driver he is. Hoping that he can help dig that team out of a hole, and so far it looks like he has been able to do that throughout this race. Gonna have 31 laps to go when we go green flag racing here in about 10 seconds. The pace car drops down on the pit road. Kevin Van electing to take the outside lane. He gets a humongous restart, and that's gonna bring Stephen Cox's 14 machine up to the second spot. A very, very quick restart, kind of shuffled up the running order a little bit. Kevin Van already up to a 6/10 second of a lead as they take the green flag, and we are racing once again.
Back in the middle of the pack, we've got trucks that are 3 and 4 wide, so crazy activity. These guys really getting after it as they see the laps are starting to wind down with 30 to go here. These guys are putting it pedal to the metal as we are 3 wide through turn number 3 and turn number 4 here. So exciting stuff in the back of the pack, no doubt.
Yeah, Sean, we got 3 and 4 wide racing going on here in the middle of the pack. It's kind of calmed down now to 2 wide racing. One of the battles we got going on right now. Oh, wow. The 17 made some contact with the 11. We saw those 2 guys kind of roughing each other up a little bit. Maybe some payback contact, maybe a little intent there for Frank Basilia III. He gets into the nose of the 11 of CJ Lavera. Lavera going to drop back a ton of spots as Basilia goes on. A couple spots in front of Basilia, the 5 and the 10 side by side. The 5 looks like he's going to win that battle, and he's going to look underneath of the 32 of Mark Arthur. Arthur didn't want to give it to him. He's going to have to move up to avoid getting wrecked. That's going to cost him some time. The 5 machine going to try and squeeze on by. But no, the 32 has got quite a run as up front, lead change. Stephen Cox going around the 15 letter. Scott Jr., he is currently your race leader.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned some of these possible payback contacts. One of the things, so we've got contact there and a spin. We got a truck in the grass after contact there, probably back around the 10th position there. And one of the things that we needed to address though was that the league observers, or the race control, has implemented new rules for such incidents like we just seen with a truck getting spun into the grass, with points penalties being issued now. Yeah,
some new rules about that, as the truck involved was the 30 machine of Mark Gloy. He went through a spin through the infield grass on the front stretch. No caution though. He spun out of harm's way. The ETV Live Team Series officials decided to keep the caution at bay, and we stay green flag racing here just about 3/4 of the way through this event. Next time by, they will be completing lap 75, currently on lap 74. And it doesn't look like Stephen Cox was able to hang on to the lead. He lost it to Larry Scott, and we have some problems out on the racetrack, bringing out the caution once again.
Yeah, we had Jeff Backey Jr. who had fallen back there after that contact, but we've just had 2 trucks go hard into the wall coming out of turn 4. Massive damage to these trucks, trying to scroll out to see who exactly it was that was involved.
Looks like it was the 31 machine of Garrett Denton and the 17 of Frank Basilia III. I took a quick look at the replay there. I don't really know what happened there. It looks like the 31 just shot right up across the racetrack and hit the 17. Going to take a look here, see if John can pull that up for us and see exactly what did happen.
Yeah, we should mention that these changes by race control for this championship, crashes that that may be seen as malicious or otherwise, with another truck, take another truck out, will actually result in a 3-point deduction actually, and all of these guys, race control, reviewing each incident case-by-case basis to see if these penalties apply. So, and as we were talking about with some of the aggression and some of the red-eye driving, if there is any kind of incident under the caution flag that results because of an incident, that's actually 5 points off the driver who caused it, and the driver who was affected actually receives those 5 points. Again, all of these are a case-by-case basis that will be looked at by race control as we now have trucks on the pit road. So it will be interesting to see if, because of that accident, if we have this new rule put in place for the first time. I guess we'll have to check after with race control to see if a penalty will be issued. Most of these penalties will be actually post-race penalties, nothing on track usually, unless some kind of a black flag is issued, but usually it's going to be something that results in a points deduction after the race, so nothing too significant to break up the actual on-track product here. So currently, right now, it looks like we have Glenn Hedrick currently in first position, as we did have a lot of trucks take to the pits to get those tires. Again, we had an incident earlier as well with trucks, the one where we had the truck sideways in the grass. Jeff Backey Jr. was a part of that as well. So he's dropped back from his top 10 position and mixing up actually with the top 5 guys, and he's currently sitting in the 16th position as we kind of wait for everything to shake down after these pit stops. So interesting times here at Kentucky as we're working lap 76 coming across for lap 77 at this time.
And Hendricks is going to come down pit road here as well. The 20 car, he's going to give up that race lead. That's going to put, I do believe, John Abbott up into the race lead. Matt Von Tippy going to be scored second. Stephen Cox is actually going to be scored third, with Larry Scott Jr. is going to be scored in the 4th position in his 15 machine. Just saw them to the 15 and the 14 battle for the lead. The 14 was able to hold on to second, but the 15 got around him. 15 very, very fast tonight. Talked about Jeff Backey Jr. He climbed to the field. He was back around 25th, I would say, on a restart. He came back to the field up to just about the top 5, able to lead a few laps during green flag stops. Going to be shuffled back, like you said, back to 17th.
Yeah, as we now have Dakota Ehrman joining us from there. Dakota, you've been working with some of the race control. Will that situation that just arrived, is that going to be labeled a racing incident, or is that actually going to be under investigation with the new set of rules that we were actually talking about just before that, actually just after that caution had happened?
Well, the way we're doing things now is we're looking at cautions as they happen, and we're deeming a cause of the incident. We can find that there's no cause, but we'll deem a cause of the incident. They'll be penalized 3 points. And if they're caught in multiple incidents, they could be, suspended for a week or so. But they're deemed or subtracted 3 points, penalty points at the end of the night, and that's 3 spots. I mean, that's going to cost them a little bit overall. And that last one, we do believe that there was a car at fault. We were looking into it, and I don't have the official wording, but we'll have to see exactly what happens later on after the race.
Okay, so certainly something that we will be tracking in the post-race. So as we had just mentioned, like right as all that calamity had started happening, that those points deductions were in place, giving a full rundown of the new rules. And it's good that the on-track product is being maintained by not docking or having any kind of a stop-and-go penalty. You're allowing them to compete, and then they can take care of the positions afterwards. But looking at the field as we're currently circulating under caution, we have in first place John Abbott, the number 10. Second is Matt Bontempi. Third, Stephen Cox. Fourth, Larry Scott Jr., who's been the class of the field all night. Fifth place is Andrew Berger. Sixth place, Brandon Chaburko, who's actually made that strategy kind of work for him. Probably not where he wants to be after battling for the lead, but sitting in the 6th position nonetheless. 7th position, CJ LeVere. 8th is Tony Bowling, 9th Mark Arthur, and 10th is Matt Lacrosse, who is up in the top 5. He's now rounding out the top 10 as his race setup does not look to be as competitive as some of the other guys, but we had some great action there, and we're really going to see more great action as we now are working close to 20 to go here left in this 100-lap race. So we're going to really start to see these trucks fighting for position, especially the likes of Backey Jr. back in 16th. We know he's got a strong truck, and it'll be fun watching him work his way up to the front of the field.
Definitely going to be interesting to see what John Abbott, Matt Bontempi do up front. This is the first time we've seen them up front tonight on a restart here, I believe, on older tires. 19 very quick earlier. That's Brandon Chaburko. Going to have to keep our eye on him as well. Pace car just about to dive. We're about to take the green flag at Kentucky Speedway once again. Pace car is gone, and now the field is in the hands of John Abbott. Abbott away. 21 kind of sleeps on the restart. 14 gets a very good jump. 24 on his bumper, and they're away.
Yes, fantastic run there for Abbott coming down the front straightaway as the second place truck really fell asleep and kind of bunched up the top 5 trucks there as we're now 3 wide going through turn number 1 and number 2. The number 15 stuck in the middle there.
He shoved way up the racetrack, had to come back down, give room to the 21. Still 3 wide. He's got the 11, I believe, on the inside. That's the 11 of LeVere. For Real Sim Racing, you see the 15 able to clear the 21. Now he's just side by side with the 11, and it looks like he'll clear the 11 as well. And he's looking to pick up on the 24, maybe even as he's coming in a hurry. 14 trying to run down the 10 now up front with the lead. 10's got a pretty good gap though.
Yeah, great start by John Abbott. Really needed to get a good start there with just a few laps to go. Stephen Cox there right behind him, asserting again that strong, dominant truck as we're still 3 wide down the back straightaway, and I think that 15 truck's having some handling issues. Larry Scott Jr. with some significant damage. We got a truck sliding. Oh, what a save. What a save there. We had a truck make contact. I believe that was Matt Lacrosse actually that got bumped there did a phenomenal job, whomever it was, holding on to that truck coming out of turn 4, as these guys are really pushing after it now and fighting for every position, as every position does count in this championship, as you're really trying to work this out for your team. Speaking of Jeff Batke Jr., who we've been tracking since the restart, has moved up to 14th position after the restart, so he's gained a couple places as well. That truck seems to maybe not be working as well as it was before that incident that he had. But right now, John Abbott opening up, he's got a 0.4 second gap now over Stephen Cox, so Abbott will actually 0.2 as that gap starts to come down. But Abbott really seizing the moment here at the top of the field, trying to make as much ground as he can on Stephen Cox, as we know that he has easily the best truck in the field tonight. So great racing and really using that restart to his advantage.
You know, Steve's knows he has to go right now. He knows that Larry Scott Jr. faster than him. Larry Scott Jr. kind of passed him a little while ago. If you remember last run when the 14 had the lead, the 14 knows he has to go. He's now working the inside of the 10 car, the lead, looking for that lead as he heads into turn number 1. 15 car, Larry Scott Jr., his teammate kind of creeping in, so he knows he has to go. I mean, now it's like now or never. You know, the closer the 15 gets, the less time he has up front. I think that's what he knows. As the 15 looks up the middle, maybe with the 10 of Abbott on the outside, 14 on the inside. They're going down turn number 3 now, and the 15 going to fall in line behind the 14.
Yeah, the 15 definitely fighting some handling issues there with some pretty significant damage to the rear end of that truck, as he's looking to maybe make it 3 wide, but thinks better, wants to fight another day as he's still in line behind the 14. Looks like he's going to try to go on the outside and follow the number 10 truck of Abbott. He's going to come back down across the front end of the 24, and a great move there as the 15 now shoots to the inside, making it 3 wide down the back straightaway. Looks like he's going to have to fall back, though. Not going to try to take that chance. Going to give those guys all the room they need as the 14 continues to fight. The 10 hanging on the outside, trying to get that lead back, as we have a great battle here between 4 trucks. Stephen Cox, John Abbott, Larry Scott Jr., and Andrew Berger all in the mix for the lead right now.
And it looks like the 15 might be extremely loose off the corners as the 14 is going to clear the 10. 15 is going to follow in line. He's going to shoot down the inside of the 14 as the 14 goes up to get next to the wall. And the back straightaways are going to be side by side for the lead once again. Maybe. It looks like the 14 at Cox clears Larry Scott Jr. heading into turn number 3. Cox way up the racetrack. That could cost him a little bit of time as the 15 still trailing. But he's able to hang on and able to come down and take over the race lead and have the line.
Yeah, Stephen Cox doing a great job there. Cycle him to first place. Larry Scott Jr. applying pressure. John Abbott sliding back to 3rd. Just not able to take full control there of the restart. Obviously, we knew it was going to be an uphill battle for him, but he's doing great hanging on to that 3rd spot now, taking pressure from Andrew Berger as they head down the back straightaway into 3. As we're watching Larry Scott as he's trying to size up the 14 truck, trying to make a push here to see. And now we got a caution on the racetrack.
Yeah, caution. Larry Mulliken, position number 9, 1 car, working lap 86 off of turn number 2, just gets loose, comes down, collects the inside wall, slides back up the racetrack, locks the brakes down, smoke pouring out of that machine, but going to throw the caution for that. That'll be Larry Mulliken again, just all by himself. We saw that once tonight earlier, actually. Joshua Harbison for Z-Loop Racing, he did the same thing. Only he was not able to drive away. He destroyed the car, parked it. He's done for the night, and that was, you know, very early in the night. 77 laps down is what he is. You look at Larry Mulliken still having the same problem. The track obviously not getting better. 86 laps in this race.
Yeah, tough for Larry Mulliken as he'd been running in the top 10 most of the night, having a nice solid run here at Kentucky. But again, it looks like he got caught out by the tricky on-track conditions here. And a real break for these guys to maybe come back off the steering wheel a little bit, take a break, take a breath, because that was some pretty gripping stuff at the front. Reassess the position. I don't think that we'll see anybody make a stop for tires with only about 10 laps, so everybody should, well, I could be wrong here. Looks like all the leaders are going to come down for tires, so get those old trash rubber off and get some new stickers on there and try to make that final push for the checkered flag.
Well, if you think about it, we do have at least 14 or 15 to go. 14, I believe, to go right now. Going to be 13 at the start-finish line. These guys, you know, they need tires now. I know we do have, 3 maybe laps of pacing, but after that, you know, they still have to come back out there and run some more laps. So, maybe close to 10. So they still have quite a few laps. So they don't want to run those on the old tires because we saw that you can get run over, you can get passed very easily on the old tires. You might see somebody like Jeff Backey Jr. all the way back in 12th. He might stay out, and I see a lot of 2-tire calls. It looks like Jeff Backey Jr. takes 2. He's going to win a few spots off pit road. Rod Flag, I believe, but 14 car losing a lot of spots on pit road.
Yeah, the 14 is Stephen Cox deciding that he's going to take 4 tires. I just don't know with the way that things have been going if that was the right call, given, I mean, he will have 4 fresh tires, but again, we're only going to have about probably 10, 11 laps once this thing maybe goes back to green flag racing, and you want to get around these trucks as best you can, and I'm not sure if that was the best call. We'll have to see what happens for sure, obviously, but yeah, interesting decision to take 4 tires with a lot of 2-tire calls being made there.
I think this is the perfect opportunity. Why don't we see what's going on behind the scenes, inside the head of the driver right now? Try to talk to Stephen Cox on the radio here real quick. And I think we've got him now. He's racing. He was racing up front for the lead. It's just taking the lead. Caution comes out. He comes down pit road, takes 4 tires. Everybody else takes 2. He's going to be marred back in traffic now. It's Stephen Cox on the radio, Dakota Ehrman, and Sean Petchin up in the broadcast booth. Man, you got a copy?
10-4 on that, Big D.
All right, Stephen, man, you got to come through a lot of cars here. Can you do it?
The truck's been fantastic all night. I haven't made a single change. I'm going to see what it'll do. I'm guessing I can at least get to top 3 easy.
All right, so you're sitting here 9th now of the few cars. I think 1 car stayed out on old tires. Then you'll have about 8 on, or maybe 7 or 8 here just on 2 tires. It's going to be very interesting. Do you have anything for Larry Scott Jr.? I know he's going to be on 2 tires, but it seemed like he was a little better than everybody here tonight so far.
Oh yeah, he's definitely just a touch better than me. I won't have anything for him, but that's my goal. Get right behind him.
Stephen, what was the idea with 4 tires? Were you kind of concerned that more people would, or less people would take 4, or were you kind of positive people would take more? I don't know.
I was just thinking back what we did on that last pit stop, how a couple guys up front took 2, and I just drove right past them so easily. So I'm going to see if I could do it again.
All right, Steve, any shots you want to go ahead and throw out there real quick?
Oh, just thanks for you guys putting this up for us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Steve, and good luck the rest of the race here.
Thank you much.
Totally not jinxing you like our famous ability to jinx people. Totally not jinxing them. If we say that, they generally aren't jinxed, hopefully.
Nah, not too bad at all. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But interesting decision for sure. But he's very confident in his truck, and I think that's the thing that you need, especially if you're going to try to get up there with Larry Scott. He's going to be probably on the outside, so if the inside can get another good launch on the restart there, we could see Stephen Cox move way to the front pretty quick on those 4 fresh tires. So we'll see how that all plays out, and it should be interesting to watch as we're working lap 90 now of the 100 scheduled laps here at Kentucky Motor Speedway.
I have no doubt it'll be interesting. How about Mark Galloy, 2 tire or no tires? Larry Scott Jr., 2 tires. They're side by side. We're getting set for the green flag this time. Going to be 10 to go when we take the green flag. How about that? Even number. John Abbott going to be scored 3rd. He'll be on 2. He took 2 with the start before that, I do believe. Then you have Andrew Berger on his outside. He's on 2. The 21, Matt Montempi, he's on 2. On his outside, the 13, that's Jeff Backey Jr. He's on 2. We made up a lot of spots. Rod Flagg also on 2. A lot of these guys on 2. All of them, really. Mark Arthur on 2. He's back in 8th. Then you go back to Stephen Cox. He's on 4 and scored in the 9th position.
Yes, and then Glenn Hedrick rounding out the top 10 here as we are working the back straightaway in preparation for our restart. So, yeah, 10 laps to go. The gloves are going to come off, and we're going to see a lot of guys trying to make moves that maybe aren't necessarily there. We've already had some guys pretty racy with 20 to go, with trucks getting sideways and some phenomenal driving out of those guys to hold on to those trucks. So now's the time for Mark Gloy. Can he do it? It's once the pace car hits the pit road, it will be Gloy's field to control. He is able to start once that pace car hits pit road at any time leading up to the green flag. So it'll be interesting to see how his start goes, and if Larry Scott's going to get caught out like we had seen the 2nd place truck in the last restart, the 21 there of Matt Botempi. So here we go. The pace car's off. It's Gloy's field to control, and he holds it up and bottlenecks a lot of people. as Larry Scott Jr. wanted to get that jump and wasn't able to do so because it is on Mark Gloy's call as to when the race starts. Now we've got guys fanning out too wide there for the second position. It looked like the 21 truck of Matt Motempe was going to try to make something happen, but thought better, didn't want to cause a big incident. But we've got Gloy. We've got trouble everywhere. Trucks wrecking everywhere on the back straightaway. Massive accident. Many trucks involved here.
Starts with just a 24, it looks like. Andrew Berger just comes up into the 10 car. So watching the 24 off of turn number 2, lap 91, position 524, shoots down and misses the 30, comes down too far, collects the 10, and spins him up into the 30. That's going to put 3 cars there, and that's in front of the field. Then a large pileup just behind him involved. I see the 14 involved, a lot of other cars involved.
And that was the call about the 4 tires that we've seen there. Now, granted, this was at the front of the field that we saw as Larry Scott Jr. re-inherits the lead. But the thing is when you take 4 tires, you lose that valuable track position and put yourself in a position to get involved in a situation like this as it occurs. As Stephen Cox, as we just talked to him before the caution, I guess we did jinx him a bit there. As he's now sitting in the 17th position with damage to his truck after that incident, and just really everything coming apart there on the restart. Again, these guys looking for every point possible, but maybe not using 100% of their head on some of these moves as these trucks got way out of control on 2 tires, and we had a lot of trucks involved there, a lot of great trucks involved in that incident. So terrible thing to have happen to a lot of our front runners here with just a few laps to go. So there's not going to be much time to really make up any of these positions that were lost or anything like that. So it's going to come down Larry Scott, who's been leading most of the race. We've got Matt Motempe in 2nd. 3rd place, Jeff Backey Jr. 4th, Matt Lacrosse now back into the top 5 after languishing kind of down in the bottom half of the top 10. Matt Kingsbury is 5th. Jimmy Jones 6th. Glenn Campbell 7th. Terrence Donovan 8th. And Tony Bowling 9th, with Sean Brown rounding out the top 10 after a massive accident here as we work lap 93 of 100 here at Kentucky Motor Speedway. So a shocker there for some of our front runners getting caught up there.
Yeah, Sean, that definitely shook up the field and put some guys further up the field that weren't really up in the front of the field before, and now they'll have a shot to finish fairly well, as quite a few of these guys with damage. I still see some of the guys in the top 5 and back there in the top 10 with some damage as well. So obviously they don't think that they have enough damage that needs to be fixed. So they're going to stay out there and hope that the truck stays together for these final 5 laps or so once we end up going green flag racing, and they can finish well. And I promise whoever finds it funny to be disconnecting my microphone very frequently, I promise I will find you and I will get you back. Thank you to Dakota Ehrman for jumping up in here while I tried to chase down a mysterious mic unplugger and called this one out, as I'm back and we should be good to go here for the finish.
Alright, and the great news here for the Zloop Racing guys is that Larry Scott Jr. and Jeff Backey Jr., who were fighting for those all-valuable points going into tonight, look like they're going to secure a pretty good finish. Now, we'll still have a few laps to go, so I don't want to jinx them, but it looks like they're going to be set to do very well here tonight and make up a lot of points, especially after a lot of front runners just got collected in that accident.
Yeah, for sure. It's bringing up some guys who were able to take advantage here, like Matt Kingsbury, Jimmy Jones. Those are a couple of the drivers now sitting in the top 10 who weren't really up in the top 10 for the majority of the night, and now that they were able to avoid that or escape with minimal damage, they now have a shot to finish up in the top 10, compete for a top 5 finish, and get some points scored for their team. As I don't know if you just saw that, Sean, but Matt Lacrosse just went up and it looked like he kind of purposely pounded the wall in turn 2. I don't know, maybe he's trying to knock that truck back into place, but that was pretty interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I saw that. I looked down and I seen a truck swerve up to the turn 2 wall there, back straightaway wall, and slap it pretty good, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe they've replenished his drink system with some of Russia's finest vodka or something, or it could just be that he's working an old school trick. Suspension might not be right, so hey, let's tag the wall and see if we can get that suspension to straighten itself out there with a few laps to go, as Lacrosse is one of these guys who has a shot on the restart of taking this race if he can hold on. So interesting. You're right, interesting move there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen the strength of Matt Lacrosse in the 5 machine before. He's trying to build upon that and see if he can keep that number 5 together for 5 more laps and come out of here with a decent finish. As the lights are out atop of the pace car, we will be going green flag racing this next time by. As long as we complete this first lap, I would believe that after that the next flag would end it. If we get the caution flag, it should end the race, and if we're able to come around to get the white flag, we will finish under green. But looking at the competition and the condition of some of these trucks, I think the one and only person who's going to have any chance of getting Larry Scott Jr. is probably going to be Jeff Backey Jr. I don't know if he's even really going to try too hard. He's got some front-end damage, and he's also his teammate. So, you know, Jeff Backey might just try to settle in for second, get a 1-2 for the Loop guys, and see if they can't secure a victory here. Or he might actually try and go for it. But I think the biggest contenders for the Loop guys would be the last lap Motorsports guys, the 28, the 27, and I believe the 25 as well. Yeah, the 25 as well. They're all up there, so if they can get a couple of their trucks to move forward, they might be able to contend with these Loop guys.
Yeah, I think Backey's definitely going to be wanting to finish second. His job is going to make sure that Botempi doesn't take that second position and help Loop get it. He is the new guy on campus, and so Scott Jr. will naturally have that.
Pace car pulls down on a pit road. We are getting ready for a 5-lap shootout here for the ETV Live Team Series at Kentucky. Lacrosse is sideways. He hangs on. He's going to lose a lot of time, though. Larry Scott and Jeff Backey get off to a great restart. They are 1 and 2. Bontempi going to drop down behind the 13 of Backey. And so long, Larry Scott Jr. Half a second lead off of turn number 2. He is soaring away from the field.
Yeah, Larry Scott says, I told you guys thought you had it, but you really didn't. Lacrosse, he got on the power really hard on the restart there, and it was all he could do to hang on to that truck. Oh, that was something else right there.
And now Lacrosse finds himself in more trouble on the back straightaway. Caution flag is out. Lacrosse goes around and into the wall. And Sean, this one is over. We are done here from Kentucky. The race is going to end under caution. A hard impact on the back straightaway for Matt Lacrosse, as it just got worse for him. He gets tangled up, spun into the outside wall, hit by a couple other trucks, and actually got popped up into the air a little bit there. Some others involved, but this race is done. It's going to unfortunately end under caution. Larry Scott Jr., Jeff Backey Jr., this Loop Racing guy is going to finish 1-2 here at Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly what we were thinking. Lacrosse having some real issues there, but it certainly let Larry Scott get away. I mean, he already had a great restart there, really controlling the field, and Backey doing what he needed to do, following Larry Scott right in there for second position and making sure that Botempi was 1 place back, because you never know, some of these championships are settled by mere points, single-digit points, so every position counts, and especially for Backey and the new guy. He wants to really help out his fellow team brother there in Larry Scott, and he's done just that. So a phenomenal result tonight for the Loop Racing guys, and exactly what they wanted to have happen going further into the championship here. Not
fully sure if we're going to go green or not. They would have to have gotten the 2 to go this time by. Next time will definitely be the big decision. If the lights go out atop of the pace car next time by, then we're going to have a 1-lap brawl. If not, this one is over. The drivers down there, they know if they're going or not, but we do not know if they were given the 2 to go signal or not. We just go by the pace car, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, it certainly does look like they think that it is going to end under yellow right now. So some of the drivers talking on the radio chatter there. So it should be interesting. If they do go, it's going to be really interesting on one lap, but I think this one will safely end under caution, which is really unfortunate because we had such great racing. I mean, we're talking 3 wide through turns 2 and 3 for most of the race. I mean, just phenomenal stuff from these guys. Some great saves as they were racing door to door, smashing doors, and it was just a phenomenal night of racing here at Kentucky Motor Speedway with Larry Scott Jr. taking a well-deserved win, as he certainly earned it tonight with a phenomenal setup on that truck.
Hands down, the 15 Larry Scott Jr., the dominant truck of the night, led the most laps here tonight, and definitely deserves this win after the night that he had, and definitely the team deserves it too. You know, they've struggled so far this season. They're sitting last in points, and this is the time where they start their turnaround project right here. They got 2 guys in the top 2. We'll have to do the points calculations once everything is official at the end of this race to see if they pick up the win or not. I see some last lap motorsports guys up there, so they might have some say in that one. There's a couple other guys. I see the 3 machine and the 2 machine. Those guys are teammates, so they might have a say in how the scoring all plays out at the end. But we do know now for sure this race will end under caution. And you know, like you said, it is a shame. We saw a lot of great racing out there tonight. A lot of 2, 3, 4 wide racing even at times. It stinks. You know, we had, I believe we had over a 50-lap green flag run there in the middle portion of the race, and we had some cautions that unfortunately slowed the pace and have now ended this race under yellow. It's a shame, but I don't really think Larry Scott Jr. cares. He's going to victory lane either way, and I think that's enough to keep him happy.
Well, the best part of the night is you could tell it's a good race when you look at a lot of these trucks, and not hardly one of them has a single clean truck in the field. A lot of these with some beating and banging around this speedway. A lot of respectable driving that you can say. Not many penalties I don't think will be handed out because of the actions on the track. A lot of just kind of racing incidents that occurred, but just great racing overall. And you know it's a good night when you look at these trucks and you just can't see.
Yeah, absolutely there, Sean. Has the Ford Mustang iRacing pace car going to come off at turn number 4, bring the field down to the white flag. As long as these trucks can stay under power and keep it going, it looks like the order is going to stay the same. They should be well fine on fuel. They pitted there with about 10 to go, a couple cautions ago. So as long as these guys can keep it going, this is where they'll finish. Hopefully the damage to the trucks that do have damage isn't severe enough to where they have some sort of problem within this last lap, but it should end the way that it's looking to be right now.
Indeed. So phenomenal run for Larry Scott. A great run by Jeff Backey Jr. I knew as soon as I seen his name on the entry list that he was going to have a say in how this thing went. And Matt Bontempi doing the best he could, hanging on for the fight there, trying to take the win, trying to take a cheeky victory, but unable to do so. But still, 3rd place was a great result for him as well. Kingsbury 4th, Glenn Campbell 5th, Jimmy Jones 6th, Tony Bowling, some of these guys we hadn't heard from all night until that accident had occurred. Sean Brown 8th, Mark Gloy 9th, and Ray Kingsbury in 10th. After his lucky dog, he was able to move back into the top 10. So a good result for him, all things considered there. So just great racing here with this series tonight, and it was just such fun to watch and such a blast to call. So it was a great time, I would have to say.
It always is here in the ETV Live Team Series. When these guys hit the track, it's always highly entertaining racing, and that proved to be no different here tonight as these guys took on the 1.5 mile Kentucky Speedway. Unfortunately, ending under yellow, but we had some great racing throughout the entire thing. Everybody throughout the fair looks to be under power. The pace car are going to bring the field under the yellow and the checkered flag at the same time, and it is now going to be official. The number 15 machine, Larry Scott Jr., is going to go to victory lane. His teammate Jeff Backey Jr. 2nd place. They got to be really happy with each other. Matt Bontempi, Matt Kingsbury, and Glenn Campbell rounding out the top 5. We're going to let these Sloop Racing teammates here celebrate their 1-2 finish and let everybody get situated, and we will be back on the other side of the break to do driver interviews and hear from our winner, Larry Scott Jr., and a couple of our other competitors here tonight. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back at Kentucky Speedway.
If you're a serious online racing enthusiast, you need Derek Spear Design, maker of high-quality, custom-built, and 50 caliber strong simulation racing products like button boxes, shifter pedals, component parts, and more. The advantage a championship sim racing driver needs. Rated 10 out of 10 by Inside Sim Racing TV. Check out his line of top-shelf sim racing products reasonably priced at DerekSpearDesigns.com and buckle in for a no-nonsense ride. DerekSpearDesigns.com today, cowboy.
Welcome back to the Kentucky Speedway here for the ETV Live Team Series race number 4 on the season here. Just completed, and the dominant driver of the night, Larry Scott Jr., brought it home first place with his teammate Jeff Backey Jr. in second. Led 66 laps, 70 laps among the two drivers. But right now we're going to get a word from a couple of our runner-up drivers as we have Sean Peach, and he is caught up with the number 28 machine of Matt Kingsbury.
Yeah, Matt, fantastic race out there, able to pull home a solid finish there. A lot of action there at the end of the race with a lot of trucks kind of crashing out there. How did it all unfold from your point of view, and how do you take that race?
Well, for me, I thought my truck was a lot faster than what I was able to accomplish before the wreck happened. I was just stuck in a lot of traffic, and I was very happy the wreck happened because most of me and my teammates pretty much made it through unscathed. And I just went down the middle and prayed that I was going to make it through, and there was an opening and I made it through, so I'm just happy with fourth. I mean, can't ask for much more.
Well, we definitely saw a lot of trucks out there, had some pretty significant damage from other incidents out there. You guys were racing really hard between each other. Did you, how was the racing out there? Did you get caught up with any other incidents, or how did that all unfold as well?
You know, I only really got loose once, and that was on my own fault. But I was told I had a bent-up back end, but I never even thought I got hit in the back. So, I mean, it was pretty clean for me. There was some touching, but no wrecks from me or anyone that I was with, so.
All right, Matt. Well, a fantastic finish for you, no doubt. Really taking advantage of the stuff on track there at the end. So congratulations to you, and I will actually throw it over to Kyle, who's caught up with Matt Botempi.
Indeed, I have, Sean. A couple of Mets here, finishing fourth and third. This one, Matt Bontempi, the number 21 machine, the highest finishing driver for the Super Speedway Cup in North Union. Matt, you brought it home third place tonight, a strong run for you. Didn't lead any laps or get to taste the lead, but still a good run for you and your North Union team. Talk about your night.
Man, it was a pretty good night, I'd have to say. The main theme of the night for me was strategy. On the green flag pit stop, I ended up taking 2 tires. That gained me about 6-7 spots. Then that caution came out, and that was a game changer. So then I took 4 tires on that stop, but then we had another quick caution and 2 tires there and 2 tires on the final, and I was at the front. I thought I might have had something for the 15 of Larry Scott Jr. On that restart if I could get a good start, but to be honest, no one had anything for Larry or Jeff. They were class of the field, and congrats to them, no doubt.
We saw a really long green flag run that lasted over half of the race after the first caution. You know, I'm sure at that point, when you're running over 50 laps of green flag racing, you're kind of set in and ready to go for a longer run. And then we had one caution, kind of led to some shorter runs. Did that kind of shake up your guys' strategy at all, and what you were going to do there with that number 21 truck?
Yeah, it really did. Like I said previously, it led to the 2 tires, the 4, and then the 2. And the main thing for me with that long green flag run was I just recently bought some used G27 pedals and Bodner cable to hook them up, and my throttle wasn't going fully down, so I was messing with my pedals that entire run trying to get it to go full throttle. I never went full throttle the entire race, I'll tell you that. I could add a lot more if I did. And my pedals were sliding all over the floor. It was pretty crazy. It was just hard to hold on. More than the truck was hard to hold on to, my pedals and my wheel were.
A very interesting night, to say the least, for Matt Bontempi there with his number 21 machine, as a bit of an interesting problem for him. But he's able to keep it all together. Brings it home third. The top guy for his team. Matt, I'm sure you got a lot of people to thank and a lot of people that deserve some warm shout-outs. So the mic is all yours if you got any people you want to mention.
Well, for one, I've got to thank my teammates at the Super Speedway North Union. We worked in practice all afternoon, and while I put something slightly different than they did on the track, we all had good pieces because of each other. I've got to thank my new teammates at Break It Down Racing. Great group of guys, and I'm excited to be a part of them in the normal iRacing part of things. And got to give a shout out to my cat Daisy. She's right next to me. I know it sounds lame, but she has cancer in 4 vital organs of her body. We're putting her down tomorrow, and she's been an inspiration for me tonight, as much as a cat can. Boy and his cat is a strong bond.
A strong run for Matt Bontempi. A bit of a heartbreaking story there to hear. We apologize to hear about that. Our best wishes to you and your family. We wish you all the best. A strong run to help ease that pain a little bit. But now we're going to send it to Sean Peachin, who's caught up with our winner, Larry Scott. Looks like him and Jeff there are kind of a little happy in that Gatorade shower. Sean, take it away.
Yes, I have caught up with Larry Scott Jr., your winner tonight here at Kentucky. And Larry, you had the truck to beat all night. I mean, during that green flag run, you were running about 5 seconds clear of the second place guy. A little drama there late. How was that race for you from your point of view? Go ahead and explain it to us.
Oh man, this was an awesome race. All my guys put in a ton of work on the setup this week, and we hit it right on the head. This thing was on rails all night. That green flag run, it was perfect, and it just never got tight or anything. Just all I had to do was take care of it and just kept going. Hate that we had a 1-2-3 finish broken up there by a couple of wrecks, but we'll take a 1-2 any day.
Well, certainly, and the Zloop Racing guys have had kind of a real tough start to the season. How does this, and now the inclusion of Jeff Backey Jr. into your team, how does that help you guys going forward as a team and getting those points back? And are we going to see more runs like we did tonight from the Zloop Racing guys in their comeback as the championship progresses?
Yeah, I think you will see a bunch of us later, through the season. We're finally getting the team sorted out, and had a couple guys that couldn't really run with us the rest of the season. Like Aaron had a couple things that came up, and Jeff was awesome enough to come in and fill the spot along with Steve. And we've all been working together for about 6 months now, and have a really good chemistry. Also with Josh Harbison, he's learning really well and getting up there, and everybody's just working really good together. And I think you're going to see quite a bit of us this season. See if we can make a comeback.
All right, well, it'll certainly be something interesting to watch, no doubt. And I will go ahead and turn it over to you because I'm sure there's a lot of people you'd like to thank, and a lot of people out there deserve some kudos, so go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I got to thank Zaloop, Ream, Monster Energy, Disabled Sim Racers, Lane Sim Products, all the guys that help us out in this deal. Also got to thank all my teammates, Jeff Backey Jr., Aaron, Josh, Steve, and also my teammates on the official side, Jeff Parker, Alex Scribner, Nick Ottinger, all those guys. They help us out a lot and help me out, trying to learn how to drive these things.
All right, so there you have it. The last words from our winner tonight here at Kentucky Motor Speedway, Larry Scott Jr. taking home a dominant run overall, class of the field all night. So Kyle Young, back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Definitely a very strong run for Larry Scott Jr. and Jeff Backey Jr. They, in total, led 70 of the 100 laps en route to their 1-2 finish for their team. A big turnaround for that team, as we had mentioned throughout the night. They were last in points, so this is a big, huge step for them to get their season back on track. And it probably could come at a good time here because we don't really know what to expect for next week because we are doing something next week that was not done last season, and we are heading up to Watkins Glen, New York, and we are going road racing for race number 5 next week for the ETV Live Team Series for 41 laps of road racing at Watkins Glen using the NASCAR Cup course. It should be very, very entertaining to watch these guys battle it out on the road course up in Watkins Glen, New York. Something totally different. I don't even really know what to expect. We've seen these guys race on ovals for about 15 races amongst the first 2 seasons. So, you know, it's definitely going to be interesting to see who is who the road racers are out there. We could see something totally different, or we could see our strong teams tackle the road course just as strong as they tackle any oval. Sean, any last words that you got before we wrap this thing up?
I just want to say that that's just going to be a fantastic race. I mean, taking these guys who put on a great show here at Kentucky to a world-class facility like Watkins Glen that's just rich with so much American racing history, and having them battle it out for this championship. And you're right, it's one of those things where you don't know if you're going to have, you know, a surprise team come up and really shine on the road course, or if it's going to be the guys, you know, with the cream rising to the top who've been performing well all year. The setup's obviously different, going left and right, obviously a lot different than what we've seen. It's going to be phenomenal. And as far as tonight goes, I want to thank everybody at ETV for letting me come back after such a long hiatus. It was such a joy to call this race with you, Kyle. First race, but I think it was fantastic. I really look forward to doing more with this series in the future, and I just want to say thanks so much, everybody, for having me on tonight.
It was a pleasure to work with you up here in the booth tonight, Sean Peachin. That's going to do it here for us at Kentucky Speedway for the ETV Live Team Series. We are 4 races in, heading to our first road course of the Team Series history here next week at Watkins Glen. For J.D. Webb, John Westling, for Sean Peachin, Dakota Ehrman, Jerry Wolf, our 2 administrators helping run this Team Series, my name is Kyle Young. Make sure you wipe your schedule clear for next week. We're going road racing, baby. You don't want to miss this. We'll see you next week at Watkins Glen.